after losing my job and our income and our net worth, everything that we owned, and having to move out of our home because we couldn't afford it, we moved to Portland and started working at another job. And when I was interviewing with this company, there was the question on, well, how do I address the chicken incident, as we called it? And I talked to attorneys and tried to figure out, like, what do I need to say? And at the end of the day, what I was advised was, you just you tell the truth, but you don't need to tell them about the whole Chick-fil-a incident because it has nothing to do with your job skills. And it was 2 minutes of your 15-year career, and you've proven yourself, that you know how to do great in business, and you're a great leader. So focus on that, and you don't need to tell them about the chicken incident. I was kind of like, great, that's fantastic. As long as I legally don't need to tell them, I guess I won't tell them. And I'll let my job performance speak for myself as opposed to a 2-minute video. And so 2 weeks into it, things are going extremely well. The company's putting me into these executive teams, and I'm putting together a team myself, and lots of support. And it was the day after Thanksgiving, I came back, and I got called in to the CFO's office. I was working for the CFO. And he said, "Adam, you didn't tell us about this video." And I said, well, I don't think it has anything to do with my job performance. I think I'm doing my job really, really well. And he's like, yeah, but you needed to tell us this. And I said, legally, I was informed that I didn't. Well, they didn't like that answer, and so 2 weeks into it, day after Thanksgiving, they fire me. And that was not good for me emotionally, because I had gotten fired publicly, and then 2 months later, I'm being fired again. And these are the only 2 times I've ever been fired and even asked to leave in a job. And again, I'm so stubborn, and I know I got to provide for my family. So there's this huge motivation for me to just get up and just get it again and just keep trying. And so I did. And a month later, I got another offer, and I told them about it. And again, they said no problem. In fact, this particular company, some of the executives knew about it even before I walked in the door and started interviewing. And some of them were like, I can't believe what happened to you. You're a hero. You're such a great leader. I'm sorry this happened to you. And they were just being very empathetic. And I was like, wow, this is an awesome place. They get it. They know people make mistakes, and they also know that maybe people overreact. And I was feeling so good, and they gave me the offer, and I said, are you sure this time? Because it's not easy to get offers and then have them taken away. And I told them about everything. I told them about being fired and all of that, and the offers rescinded. And they said, oh yeah, no man, we can't wait to have you work for us. And I remember driving home after that offer and calling my wife and just bawling, and she's crying too, because we fought so hard and we've been fired and taken across the coals here, raked across the coals, and we were just crying because we were like, oh, we finally got a break. And literally, this is no lie, I'm on the phone on the way home from getting this offer, and I get a call from the company, and they said, Adam, sorry, and they left it on a voicemail. Sorry, there's a couple of people in the company that don't feel quite right about the situation. We need the weekend to think about it. And I checked the voicemail. I couldn't call my wife back. I just got home. She's really happy, and I just walk in, and I'm like, oh, they left a voicemail, and they didn't say no, but they're considering saying no. 2 days later, they called and they said it's just too much for us. So they took away the offer again. And I'm like at this point, I'm getting scared because like everything I built up for and went to school for, and MBA and CPA and investment banking and all this and leadership, like it like doesn't matter because I have a 2.5 minute video on YouTube that went viral, and I don't know how to address that. I don't know how to I don't know how to function. I don't even know how to like deal with this. And I'm talking to PR firms and like, yeah, I guess you know that's tough luck. And I was starting to spiral because I'm the provider for my family. I did that when I was a kid, even if it took like going through garbage cans. It didn't matter. Like I knew that was my role, and now I'm trying to do the same thing for my family, and I'm willing to work at companies that maybe I wouldn't have worked for or just weren't as interesting, but I needed to get some income for my family, and now I can't even do that, even though I'm capable of it. And yeah, I mean, talk about like depression. It just started getting deeper, and I got deeper, and it got deeper until a point where I just give up. I'm like totally giving up, and my wife is looking at me like she doesn't know what to do. And I remember it was a year after the Chick-fil-a. It was literally on the anniversary. I'm still unemployed, and I just kind of in my head there was this story that was saying, it's been a year and you're a failure. You're just a loser. You're a mistake. And I was noticing that that's what my brain was telling me, but I believed it. But I knew that that didn't sound true, that there was an element of something deeper that wasn't being spoken as well, that wasn't being heard. But that loud inner critic that was just tearing me apart, just saying how much of a mistake I am and how big of a loser and a failure. And I was just like, I told my wife, I said, okay, here's the thought that I just had. This is the emotions that I'm going through. I know that there's a life insurance policy that we still kept up, and it's $1 million life insurance policy. And I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, I think I'm just basically like better off dead. I'm actually worth more dead than alive. And I was like, I don't know like how to get out of this, and I'm reaching out to friends. Sometimes, most of the time, I'm kind of just secluded and just completely dark. It's so dark inside, and I'm just like, I literally have that thought, that terrible thought, that literally my life is worth more with me gone. Then I can provide for my family. And I knew that was not a good place to be, and it was dangerous. So I said, I'm either going to check myself into a 30-day inpatient facility to help me through this, or I'm going to go to this intensive journal workshop that I had attended a few years prior and do it for 6 days and just like get to the truth and get to understand what's going on inside me, to help me basically. This workshop is a workshop that just has you write what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, and I wrote all these, and you would write no matter what you were writing, even if you didn't believe it, no matter how ugly it sounded, no matter how judgmental it might sound, or no matter what someone else might think of it. And I wrote down these things that just, in the beginning anyway, in the first few days, it was just this really horrible things about myself. And when I read it, it was empowering because I could see what I was telling myself, what my brain was telling me. And as the whole point of this workshop is to even pierce through that, to keep going deeper into truth. And I documented this journey because I knew it was either going to bring me out or it wasn't going to help, and I needed to at least prove to myself that I tried to help myself. And it was like the 5th day of this 6-day workshop when things like just turned, and it was this moment where I realized that I have this choice to see things a different way. Like, even, and it wasn't just about Chick-fil-A. I mean, we're talking like childhood abuse, running like raggedness towards money and relentless, and I'm addressing all of these patterns that I'm seeing in my life, and I just remember the moment where I accept, fully, totally surrender. This is what has happened, and what have I learned from it? What have I learned from all of this suffering, from the childhood and digging in these dumpsters for food, and what was it like, and I just see this little boy, me, that's just trying to make it, like everybody else. Like everybody else is trying to make it. Everybody else is struggling too. Everybody else is suffering too. Not all the time, but life is full of suffering. This is normal. And what happens during the suffering is what actually is what happens. What happens in suffering is this beautiful transformation where without it, we would not go deeper. Like, I would not have gone deeper and addressed it, what I went through in my childhood and investment banking, and what was driving me, and at the end of the day, I can kind of feel that. I'm like, what's driving me is this fear of not having to provide for my family, and fear of not being liked, fear of that all of this bad things that I'm hearing myself say is true. And I can just say that when I come out of this workshop, I'm just this different person. Like, I really appreciate, this is what sounds crazy, I know, but this is just the truth. Like, I remember writing, like, thank you for that pain and that embarrassment, life, universe, for having me go through all of this. Because if I hadn't gone through all this pain and suffering, if I hadn't been through that, I would never have really known the true person that I am, and that everybody else is. And like, it's just this beautiful truth when you can see yourself as you really are. So thankful that all of this happened. Thankful that I made a mistake. Thankful that I saw myself writing how much of a mistake I was and how ugly I was. Thankful for the workshop that let me go down deep into my soul to just see the truth. And now I have this energy, I guess, that was always there, but it was always clouded by all this negativity, that everything's going to be okay. Perspective is something that I've definitely gained in the last 2 years since going through this chicken incident. And there's just a deep appreciation that I have now, that for all the simple things and for what is happening in this moment. And I don't realize how much I talk about it, but I guess I do, because my kids feel that too. I see it in them, that they are appreciating just some of the simplest things in life. We don't go out to eat very often now, so when we do, it's like this special thing, which is awesome, because it is special. It's special if we go often, and it's special if we don't. Sometimes we have toasts, and the kids break up their water, and I drink too, and I, out of the blue, my oldest son says, I want to make a toast. I want to say thank you for all that's happened to us, universe, because without all that has happened, we wouldn't be here right now eating outside in the sun. eating this great meal together in Portland, loving each other, smiling. And like when I'm hearing that, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel, Sterling. And to hear those words come out of his mouth like that, I'm like, yeah, he's got that. He's understanding what I'm feeling too. And he's gone through change as well. We moved from their friends and their family. So there's a big change for them as well. And to hear that acceptance and appreciation for what's happening right now, it's like it was an awesome meal. Let's just say that. The food tasted amazing with that perspective. Other things have happened over the last 2 years that I have never would have guessed. One of my kids was having some he started to get really angry about something. He was really kind of being very reactive for a while, for like a couple of months. And we were trying to figure out what was going on, and it just felt like he was really pushing something down. He was really hiding something. And we thought, he must have been stealing candy or something and not telling us, and it was really bothering him. And one night we just said, hey, is there something that you want to share with us? Is there something that you've been holding back? And he just started bawling, he just and then he says, I'm gay. And I'm like, oh my God, my son is gay. I have a gay son. I am so grateful that my son feels so comfortable telling me about this thing that some people would shame him and try to change him. But he's in a family that's not going to try to change him. He's in a family that's totally accepting of him. He's in a family that just totally loves him and just is letting him be who he is. And I just remember, it's like, I'm giving him something, a gift that I didn't have when I was a kid. I didn't get to be who I wanted, But we can change that. I didn't have to be that same parent that demanded the kids to be a certain way. And I just think life is amazing and ironic and paradoxical, because here I am standing up for human rights, and all the while I have this son who needs that kind of hero or that voice to say, hey, we're all the same. We don't need to look at each other like that we're different, because we're not. And I have this son that I stood up for, and I didn't even know I was standing up for him. I was just standing up for people, for fair and justice, and it just feels like an awesome life to make these choices in life where you listen to what comes up for you and what really feels true. And at the end of the day, your son is watching you take those stands and not saying anything and feeling empowered to say, hey, this is who I am. So it's an awesome family to have, to love each other so deeply and just be connected and be really vulnerable with each other. And while we were really, really a tight family before this chicken incident, it has brought us together in a powerful way where we just talk about our feelings and we talk about what's scary for us. We talk about the mistakes we made, and we don't shame each other for it, because we let ourselves make mistakes. And that's such a gift. And so that's why I always kind of keep going back, why am I upset about what I do get upset sometimes. I do get upset about this whole incident and having lost everything. And then I'm like, yeah, and this is what I got back: perspective, love, connection, a family that shares, that is tight, that toasts the present moment instead of complains about what they don't have. It's good life. That's it.